So, welcome Peter Vis, Head of Cabinet. Next month we have the international negotiation in Cancun in Mexico, and Connie Hedegaards has a role to play. What is the strategy in front of Cancun now from the Commissioner?
Well, the Commissioner, having been so central to the process up to COP15 in Copenhagen, protocol, now we are much more modest in what we expect out of Cancun. We don't think that the situation has changed so much since last December in some major countries like the US and China. We don't think there's that much of a change by those countries, so we should not expect them to behave differently. We do not think it likely that there could ever be a comprehensive legally binding treaty agreed in Cancun in 1 month's time. We do hope that there will be a few building blocks of an eventual legally binding treaty, and the building blocks will be focused on specific issues such as deforestation, capacity building, technology transfer, adaptation, and of course it would also address in some way long-term financing of climate change. And Mrs. Hedegaard, with all her experience, she sees Cancun as not being likely to achieve a big breakthrough, but she wants it nevertheless to be a very concrete stepping stone towards an international agreement in due course. It's clearly a problem that the US has not been able to move forward in its domestic legislation. That inability of the US to enact domestic legislation is obviously an easy pretext for other developing countries to use in saying, but we're not going to commit until the US commits.
But do you think the EU can reach the developing countries to find a dialogue for progress?
The EU has always tried to position itself in such a way as to bridge between the developing countries on the one hand and the developed countries like the US that have clearly got difficulty subscribing to the targets of the Kyoto Protocol. What we are trying to do essentially is to decide what's good for the EU and to do it in order to show to developing countries that we are committed. Gain confidence by doing. Equally with regards to fast start financing, we have put the money on the table that we promised in Copenhagen. We're trying just to show we can do it. We're trying to engage, of course, with developing countries by doing projects which are very down-to-earth projects addressing adaptation in the poorest developing countries, because we need there to be, we know the responsibility is on the EU to not only do the right things domestically, but to help others do better themselves.
Well, thank you, Peter, for this background and your view in front of Cancun in Mexico, and also the work within the EU for the coming period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you.